Hello everyone and welcome. So today we're going to tackle a very important concept in 3D geometry, how to find the angle between two lines. Now I know, 3D geometry can sometimes feel a bit tricky, but trust me, we're going to break this down so simply you'll feel like a pro by the end of this. Let's just dive right in.
Okay, just imagine you're in a 3D game, right? Maybe Valorant or something, and you see two players moving in perfectly straight lines. Now, are they teammates moving together in formation? Are they enemies about to have a face-off at a sharp angle? Or are they just two random players on different paths, totally ignoring each other? Figuring out the angle between their paths. That is exactly what we are going to master today.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll understand what this angle business is all about. Then, I'll give you the one main formula, our master tool. After that, we'll go on 3 quick missions to handle every type of question you'll ever see. And finally, we'll wrap up with a quick summary and one final pro tip. It's a clear path, so let's get going.
Right. First things first. When we talk about the angle, what are we even talking about? Well, think of it as just a number that tells you the relationship between two lines. And to find it, we need to know their direction. In our 3D math world, we use something called direction ratios. Don't worry about the fancy name. They're just 3 numbers that tell a line where to go. Kind of like coordinates. Move this much on X, this much on Y, and this much on Z. These are basically the movement instructions for our players in the game.
Exactly. So if the angle we find is 0 degrees, it means the lines are parallel. They're like two players running side by side in the same direction. If the angle is 90 degrees, they're perpendicular, crossing each other perfectly like a plus sign. Any other angle just means they're crossing paths in some other way. Simple enough, right?
All right, now for our main tool. Please don't get intimidated by how this formula looks. This formula is your best friend for this entire chapter. It's the one and only tool you need for pretty much every question, and I promise you, we are going to break it down into super simple, easy parts.
Let's just look at the top part of the formula, okay? The numerator. It's just A1 times A2 plus B1 times B2 plus C1 times C2. Now, if you've done vectors, this should ring a bell. It's just the dot product. Seriously, that's all it is. You just multiply the first numbers, multiply the second numbers, multiply the third numbers, and then add them all up. That's it.
Okay, now for the bottom part, the denominator. You see those big square roots? Again, this should look very familiar from vectors. Each of those is just the formula for the magnitude, or you can just think of it as the length of a vector. So all we're doing is finding the length of the first line's direction vector and multiplying it by the length of the second one. You've already done this 100 times. And now, let's put it all together. See? The cosine of the angle theta is simply the dot product we just talked about, divided by the product of their magnitudes. And you see those 2 big lines on the outside, the absolute value? We'll get to why those are super, super important in just a minute. So that big, scary formula, it's just 2 simple ideas you already know put together.
Okay, team, let's gear up. Mission 1. This is the most common question they will ask you. Find the angle between 2 given lines. And for this, we have a perfect 4-step blueprint.
Here is your step-by-step plan. First, you look at the equations of the lines and just pull out their direction ratios. Your A1, B1, C1, and your A2, B2, C2. Step 2, calculate the dot product for the top part. Step 3, calculate the 2 magnitudes for the bottom part. And finally, step 4, just plug everything into our main formula and solve. That's it. 4 simple steps, you'll get the right answer every single time.
And now for our second mission. Sometimes you don't even need to find the exact angle. The question will just ask, are these 2 lines parallel? And for this, we have a fantastic shortcut, a cheat code. You don't need the whole big formula.
Okay, so here's the secret. 2 lines are parallel if their direction ratios are proportional. What on earth does that mean? It just means if you divide A1 by A2 and B1 by B2 and C1 by C2, you get the exact same number every single time. So let's say one line's ratios are 2, 4, 6, and the other is 1, 2, 3. Well, 2 divided by 1 is 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 3 is also 2. See? They're all the same, so the lines are parallel. Mission complete. Easy, right?
And here we are, our third and final mission, checking if 2 lines are perpendicular. Just like with parallel lines, we have another beautiful, simple shortcut that will save you a ton of calculation time. So here's the second shortcut. 2 lines are perpendicular if their dot product is 0. Remember that numerator from our main formula?
That A1A2 plus B1B2 plus C1C2 part? All you have to do is calculate that one value. If the answer comes out to be 0, bam! The lines are perpendicular, and the angle is 90 degrees. That's all there is to it.
Okay, let's quickly lock in these two shortcuts. Just have a look at this. For parallel lines on the left, you are checking for equal ratios. For perpendicular lines on the right, you're checking if the dot product equals 0. Just keep this picture in your mind. It's the perfect little cheat sheet for these two special cases.
So we've concluded all our missions. Now, let's quickly summarize everything, and I will give you the single most important tip for this topic. This is a very common mistake, a trap that many students fall into. But not you, not after today.
Okay, listen carefully. Here it is. The number one mistake. You must remember to use the absolute value in the formula. Why? Because whenever a question asks for the angle between two lines, it is always asking for the smaller, acute angle, the one that's less than 90 degrees. Using the absolute value ensures your final number is positive, which automatically gives you that acute angle. Please do not forget this step. It's a game changer.
So, let's do a super quick recap. For any general angle, what do? We use the full cos theta formula. To check for parallel lines, we just check if the direction ratios are proportional. And to check for perpendicular lines, we just check if the dot product is 0. See? You now have a tool for every single situation. You're doing great.
So you've now successfully mastered how to find the relationship, the angle, between two lines. The next logical question is, okay, but how far apart are they? That means finding the shortest distance. And now that you have the angle concept down, I know for a fact that you are ready for that next challenge. Keep practicing this, and you'll be unstoppable.